Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is your favorite booktuber. Is that a thing? Booktuber? Kevin? That was me. Today, let's talk about the very first book that I have on the podcast, 100 Books a Year with Kevin. It's a book named A Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger, who is the CEO of Disney Company. Um, I did the podcast, I think, a few months ago. The reason I chose this to be my first book is I think this is actually a very, very good business biography, I want to say, or this one is actually probably one of my favorite management book because every single chapter is like a case study. How does he deal with jobs? How does he deal with Pixar acquisition? How does he maneuver the lowest level of ABC production to hang out with Jobs to buying Lucasfilm? And in my opinion, truly, I believe that Bob Iger is the greatest CEO of the 21st century. Even though we're only like 21 years in, but I just think that his resume is unprecedented. So when we think about Disney, guys, like we usually have this mental image, right? Like fireworks everywhere, and you're gonna have, a castle, right? The famous Disney castle. I think this was the work from probably, I want to say, the 1950s, right? So this is not what Bob Iger was known for. This is not part of Iger's legacy. I truly believe that this is actually. So when he first took over the company, he actually have a few of these Disneyland or Disney parks in the U.S., but the company itself is not really struggling from building physical buildings and parks and amusement places. It's really struggling from a few things. When we say from content to the quality of the IP. So this is Walt, right? Like drawing his cartoon character. So when Bob Iger first took over the company, the quality of the content was not very high, right? And then during that time, that was when Pixar started getting steam, and when Pixar started getting some kind of a boost from Toy Story, right? They're getting known for that, and then they're making sequels. So there was already some theme parks, but Disney at that particular point when Iger first took over in the 90s, they need international expansions and they also need internet integration as well. So that's why I think Bob Iger is truly the greatest CEO of the 21st century because he actually has the vision to pursue and to follow through with a few of his ideas. He was actually savvy enough to recognize that he stood right on the cusp of change, of transitioning from old Disney to new Disney, from the Mickey Mouse on a drawing board to a streaming giant, right? So here are his three of his 10-year plan. One of them is a high quality content, right? Secondly, they want to build a global brand, and lastly, they want to cut down the strategic planning department. So let's dive into a couple of them. We already talked about high quality content, right? Like when he first took over, the animation was not great. That's why they had a thought of acquiring Pixar so that they can work alongside Disney Studio to bump up their animation. And also, animation was Disney's bread and butter, but they're sucking out the game right there. Secondly, they're trying to make this a global brand. For example, the Shanghai Disney Park, uh, they got started planning on that in 1998, and then they got finished completing that in 2016. And lastly, is cut down the strategic planning. So jumping on to his quote unquote resume, I want to highlight a couple of things, right? Pixar, it was a 7.4 billion acquisition. Marvel, 4.2 billion. Lucasfilm, 4.1 billion. BAM Tech, which is a streaming platform which set the tone for Disney Plus, they did it for 2.6 billion. And finally, 21st Century Fox for 60 billion. So I will give you guys a challenge, right? I challenge any one of you guys to find me a CEO that has such a great resume within his tenure that can acquire this amount of, the behemoths in terms of like the company's value and all that stuff. So in a sense, this is only, oops, there was some hiccups there. This is only the one that I think was really, really interesting in the sense that nobody can also replicate this at all, right? So, like I said, 1995 buys ABC, 2006 buys Pixar, 2009 buys Marvel, 2015 buys National Geographic, and 2017 buys 21st Century Fox. So, what are his kind of like values, right? Like, what are his values in terms of, okay, I want to do this, I want to kind of pass on this negotiation tactics. Like somebody might think that, oh yeah, like Bob Iger probably has some like insane tactics, but if you read his book, he's actually really being honest and really being straight up and not really trying to be timid about his what's the term, be timid about his proposition. And he's made it really clear with Pixar. I think Pixar was his turning point, is that he told Steve Jobs that, I'm not trying to change you. Because one of the Pixar people, I think it was either John Cassader or somebody, he said to Bob Iger, say, hey, I don't want you guys to like change me. And they didn't. And then Bob Iger, just did not eat his words. So that leads us to Lucasfilm. They can all point to Pixar as, I want a Pixar treatment, right? So if you really look at this portfolio, guys, we have ESPN, we have Disney, we have ABC, we have Freeform, we have Nat Geo, we have 20th Century Fox, we have Fox, a sports network, we have FX, we have Star, which is I think it was a British TV network, right? And we have Marvel, we have Lucasfilm, we have Pixar, right? X-Men, Hulu. So it really checks all the boxes for streaming, sports, news, international expansion. So in a sense that Iger got his 10-year plan done and he checks all the boxes, which is really interesting to see, right? So if we want to wrap up on this episode, what should we talk about? What are the take-home message I want you guys to learn and take home? It's actually very easy. We might think, okay, like Bob Iger might be some genius in negotiation or genius businessman. Actually, no. Like he actually started from the bottom of the ABC ladder, and he works from the bottom up. He actually been through the production phase, the sports phase. So if he want to kind of narrow it down into a couple of things, is you really have to have a good mentor to start with. And with the help of your mentor, you got to a 1.0 version of you, right? And then in the meantime, you want to trust your instinct. You really want to trust, trying to take in everything first, but trust your instincts on execution. And then repetition matters, all right? Is that continuous learning? Is that taking in all of the thinking process and thought process from your mentor? That is the one that is going to help you succeed. And also we have, just great candor. I want to be honest and just trying to be self-aware. And I really like how he ends his book on this. He said, you always trying to hold on to your self-awareness, right? To the image of yourself, regardless how other people are telling you how great you are, because they're always ass kisser that wants to say, hey, you are great, right? Like, congratulations to that because they want something from you, right? If you let your ego getting carried away by that, then it's gonna get in front of your decision making, right? Then it's going to get in front of your leadership style in the sense that you might be less receptive to feedback, right? You might have, a cloudiness in your judgment. So I think this is a really good sentence to end this podcast on. And in the end, guys, I just trying to maybe break down the nonfiction books that I'm reading. I'm really trying to figure out a style to give you guys a visual part of the learning process. And to be honest, guys, thank you for watching. This is our very first episode. And I just want to try out something, and because I'm a visual learner, so I can give you guys some kind of a visual strategy, so it will be either easier for me to comprehend or to learn that material right there. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this. We're launching this series. I'm thinking once a week. And if you like the content, give us a thumbs up or subscribe. I'm trying to get this to model our podcast. We have over 45 books down on the podcast right now, maybe more when you are watching this video. So I would definitely recommend you to subscribe to my podcast as well, called 100 Books a Year with Keven. You can find it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, whatever you listen. And if you're like this type of a format, subscribe, tell me how bad my handwriting is. Hopefully you guys can read all of this, and also check out my podcast so that we can be further along on this reading journey. Thank you. Bye.